Hey everyone, it's Ruby Kayser with a Rams Live exclusive. We've got CSU football general manager Alex Collins here. Alex, when Coach Mora first got here, he said he wanted to build a wall around the state, get all those great athletes from Colorado to be Rams. What value is there in bringing Colorado in-state kids to CSU?
Yeah, I think there's a huge value in doing that, really just from kids that want to pour themselves into this program. We always talk about it in our recruiting process of, we want to bring talented players here, but we also want to bring players that really want to pour into this program, make the most of themselves, and have a true passion for being here. And so I think when you start in-state and you start with kids that grew up coming to Ram games or being fans here, it really, gives them that extra motivation to do all the extra work that goes into being a great player outside of just our daily stuff that we do here.
Absolutely. I think some of my favorite stories is seeing some of those players in pictures when they're little kids at the CSU games wearing their CSU football jerseys, and then they're all grown up and they get to play for the Rams.
Yeah, I think that just makes it extra special for them, and I think you can see it with some of the guys that we had last year that are coming back of just, I always think of like a Jay Spella, growing up here in state, being a Ram fan, being here for 5 years, you can see how much it means to him, and just his willingness to pour into this program, I think, shows him what he's able to do on the field.
Ram Rush absolutely took over my feed last week, and I think everyone else's feed. The CSU football staff was able to divide and conquer and rush the state to get their name out there, talking to high school coaches and kids. What kind of impact and value does Ram Rush have, and what was the goal behind that?
Yeah, it really started from Coach Mora, from, honestly, our first phone call together. And, we were going through a lot of different things, and he just said, hey, hold on a second. He said, we're going to rush the state the first day we can. And then we went back to our conversation. So just really big for us to get out in this state, have a lot of schools that, we need to hit, frequently, and make sure that they know that, CSU really cares about this state, not just when they have a high-profile football player, but really getting to schools, really every year and every period that we can, just to build those connections and those bonds, and really make sure that all the coaches and players in the state know that, everything we're going to do from our perspective is going to start here in state.
What kind of feedback did you get from Ram Rush, not only from the coaches and the high school football players, but also the fans? I feel like the social media impact was huge alone.
Yeah, no, there was a huge impact for us and the fans and everyone. Some of our new coaches that maybe aren't from this area got to drive through some really beautiful areas of Colorado, so they got to learn the geography a little more. But I think it was just appreciated. I think, all the coaches in this state have always been great to me and our staff here, and they just really want to feel like they're valued in return, and that whether it's their feedback on players, whether it's inviting their staffs and their players here for, camps or more development or spring practice, just having that relationship and that connection so that coaches know that, CSU, we're here to be, an advocate for them, and we're here to help the coaches and players in the state grow at the same time.
When Ram Rush was getting talked about early on and you're planning it, what did success look like for you for that impact and what you hoped people would walk away with?
Yeah, I think the first thing for us is just, the numbers, right? I think we ended up getting to somewhere in the mid-40s, as far as schools in this state within the first day, which is a huge impact, and we've continued to go up to schools. I know Coach Morris spent some time this week going back to some schools in this state. So really wanted the impact to just be one, how far could we get? How many schools could we get to? Not just hitting the schools that are close to us or the schools that have traditionally had players, but really trying to get as many different places in the state as we could.
When Coach Moore and the staff was meeting with those football players and coaches, what was the message that they were delivering to them?
Yeah, I think just you always want to make sure whenever there's a coaching change like this, you want to make sure they understand what CSU is going to be to them moving forward. And so with the new staff and Coach Mora just being really big on them knowing that, hey, we're going to be here, every chance that we get. We want your coaches and your players here on our campus every chance that they have, and really just want to make sure those coaches know that there's going to be a personal touch for how CSU is going to interact with them moving forward.
Is Ram Rush going to be an annual thing? Are we going to see it again this year? Have you guys talked about that yet?
We haven't talked about it yet. I think it will be somewhat of an annual thing, but I also, hopefully as this goes on that, the fact of us recruiting the state really hard isn't this grand idea every year. I want it to become more of the expectation and the realization from the coaches and players in the state that us being out in every corner of the state is going to be a consistent piece and not just a one-time thing.
From your perspective as general manager of CSU football, what excites you the most about in-state recruiting?
I think it's like what we talked about at the beginning, just getting a group of kids here at all levels that just are really passionate about this school. I think in today's era of football, retention is a really key piece of this as well. And so getting kids from the state that want to not only come to CSU, but stay here and finish their careers here, I think is huge. So it really excites me to be able to get more kids on this campus that are, have this extra passion about this place.
Thanks so much, Alex, for your time. We're so excited to meet some of those new CSU football players and coaches. Make sure to follow at CSU Rams Live. We'll have all the exclusive content to come.